Arthur Morgan was born to die. At least, that's how the story presented him. That's how fate marked him. In the version we know, he carries the gang on his back, carries Dutch's mistakes, carries the weight of a lifetime built on violence. And in the end, he carries a disease that turns his redemption into a silent countdown. He coughs, he weakens, he accepts, and he dies watching the sunrise. But there's a question that always lingered behind that scene. Did Arthur change because he was dying? Or would he have changed if he had time? What if Arthur Morgan never got sick? What if his body never betrayed the man who could still fight? Because maybe the true weight of this story was never tuberculosis. Maybe it was choice. And today, on Lore Quest, we're rewriting that choice. Blackwater still goes wrong. The gang still runs. Fear still rides alongside them. But Arthur doesn't cough. He doesn't feel the invisible pressure in his chest. He isn't handed a sentence. He remains strong. And when Arthur Morgan is strong, he doesn't get distracted. He watches. Horseshoe Overlook brings temporary hope. Dutch still talks about freedom like it's a religion. Hosea still tries to balance the dream with caution. But Arthur begins to notice something different. Dutch isn't explaining the plan anymore. He's defending his pride. It's subtle, small at first, but Arthur feels it. Micah feels it too. The difference is, Micah sees opportunity. Sean dies, not as a warning, but as a fracture. Arthur doesn't respond with a speech. He responds with silence. A silence longer than it should be, because for the first time, he realizes the plan isn't working. Jack is kidnapped. Abigail falls apart. Arthur brings the boy back, but he doesn't feel victory. He feels exhaustion. He feels like they're chasing consequences of their own making. Saint-Denis becomes confrontation. It's the moment Dutch needs to prove he's still bigger than the modern world closing in. The robbery happens. Hosea falls. And when Hosea falls, Dutch loses the only man who could question him without challenging him. In the original story, the illness accelerates Arthur's transformation. Here, it's Hosea's death. Arthur begins to look at Dutch like he's seeing a stranger, not a leader, not a father, a man afraid of losing control. Guarma makes that clear. Dutch kills with cold certainty, not for strategy, but for ego. Arthur watches, not with immediate outrage, but with disappointment. And disappointment is more dangerous than anger. Anger still tries to save. Disappointment starts letting go. When they return, the gang is no longer family. It's survival. Micah grows, not because he's stronger, but because he says what Dutch wants to hear. Arthur understands something crucial. The problem was never the sickness. The problem was pride. And pride doesn't heal with loyalty. John starts talking about leaving, about his son, about a future. And Arthur sees something he never had, a real chance to break the cycle. He could try to take leadership. He could challenge Dutch openly. But he understands something harder. The gang is already over. No one has admitted it yet. Micah begins provoking, suggests Arthur has grown sentimental, that he protects John too much, that he questions too much. Dutch starts listening. and the crack becomes an abyss. The confrontation comes, not long speeches, direct accusations. Micah is exposed. Arthur isn't coughing, he isn't weak. He stands firm, and that changes everything. This isn't a dying man versus an opportunist. It's two opposing paths colliding. Violence for power, or violence to end violence. Dutch watches. He hesitates, and that hesitation says everything. Arthur understands in that instant. Dutch didn't choose what was right. He chose his pride. And in that moment, Arthur makes the most important decision of his life. He doesn't try to save Dutch. He saves John. Arthur helps John escape not out of impulse, but conviction. He knows if John stays, he'll repeat the same mistake. He'll stay chained to blind loyalty. He'll raise his son believing violence is inheritance. And Arthur has seen enough. He's seen men die for ideas that weren't real anymore. He's seen dreams turn into excuses. So he chooses differently. He covers their escape. He faces what needs to be faced. He survives. But more important than surviving, he lets go. Lets go of Dutch. Lets go of the gang. Lets go of the role he carried for years. And he disappears. Disappearing isn't immediate freedom. It's emptiness. On the first morning alone, Arthur wakes before sunrise. His body still waits for orders, still waits for conflict. But no one calls his name. No plan waits to be executed. No debt needs collecting. Just silence. And silence weighs heavier than any gun. Meanwhile, John tries to build something he never had. Beecher's hope doesn't begin strong. It begins fragile, with crooked fences, with tight money, with constant fear. John fails, tries again, fails again, and every time he almost gives up, he remembers who put him there. Arthur, the man who could have died a tragic hero, but chose to live as an absence. The government reorganizes the West, not with bullets, but with files. Names are revisited, reports reopened. The Vanderlinde gang isn't forgotten. Dutch remains a problem. John is a potential tool. And Arthur is an uncertainty. There's no confirmation of death, only silence. And silence, for men like Ross, isn't comfort, it's threat. Arthur feels when he's being watched. He recognizes surveillance like he recognizes the smell of gunpowder. He avoids big towns, avoids staying too long, avoids telling stories. But there's one story he cannot leave unfinished. Mary Linton. Years ago, she said something that cut deeper than any bullet. "You haven't changed at all." She said it with sadness, and back then, she was right. Arthur thinks about that before he goes to her. He could just keep running, keep disappearing. But some debts aren't paid with distance. He doesn't go to promise. He goes to admit. He finds her, not as an outlaw, not as a hero, just as a man. Mary sees him, first disbelief, then caution. She doesn't run, doesn't smile. She waits. Arthur stops a few steps away. He doesn't invade the space he once ruined. He simply says that life is over. Arthur said it with steady, contained calm. He tells her he watched good men lose themselves, that he saw pride destroy family, that he saw what almost happened to John. He doesn't ask her to forget. He doesn't ask her to trust. If she wants, he wants to stay. If she doesn't, he'll understand. Arthur says it while looking into her eyes without challenge. Mary doesn't answer immediately. She studies the way he stands. He isn't trying to persuade. He isn't selling hope. He's offering choice. She steps closer. Her hand rises slowly to his face, touches him like she's confirming he's real. He doesn't move first, doesn't pull her in, doesn't insist. He waits. And in that waiting, she sees it. Not a man trying to prove something, but a man who already chose differently. "You changed, Arthur Morgan." She says it softly. The kiss happens. No grand promise, no dramatic speech, just decision. But this isn't a naive story. Days later, a horse passes slowly down the road. Someone watches from a distance, doesn't speak, doesn't approach, leaves. Arthur notices. He always notices. The government hasn't forgotten completely. The name Morgan wasn't erased. It was archived. And archives reopen when convenient. If Ross needs leverage over John, Arthur becomes currency. If he needs a ghost to haunt the past, Arthur becomes a tool. And that's the shadow over this ending. Not lack of love, but constant risk. Mary lights a lamp inside the house. Arthur remains on the porch for a few seconds. He knows the past may return, knows he may never be fully safe. But now he doesn't run. He chooses to stay. Because redemption isn't dying for someone. It's facing whatever comes without abandoning who you love. The wind moves quietly. No gunshots, no escape, just silence. But fragile silence. Because in the lore quest universe, a happy ending doesn't mean a safe ending. It means a hard-earned one, and maybe temporary. If tomorrow the government knocks at the door, he'll face it. But today he stays. And sometimes that's enough. And in some distant office, a report is closed. Not with certainty, but with doubt. Arthur Morgan, status unconfirmed. And as long as there's doubt, there will be a hunt. Because sometimes the true happy ending is just the beginning of the next pursuit.